welcome back to Cooking with Craig. Another fairly simple with you now. We're going to go with a dessert because it's something you might have everything for. We're going to make just your simple, basic white cake. Which is a half a cup of milk and a half a cup of room temperature butter, 2 eggs. This is a really simple recipe. One and 2. 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and that are all the wet ingredients. 1, 2. Set that aside, and we'll give that a blend. Okay, at this point you're going to see it's just a little, the wet stuff is a little chunky with the butter and everything in there. I'll get it up to where you can see it. First thing we're going to add is 1 cup of sugar. Believe it or not, I think there's only 2 more ingredients to go. This is how simple this is. So, and then we're going to add in 1 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees. And finally, we're going to add in 1.5 cups of flour. We'll just keep adding flour as the stuff that I've added all gets mixed in. About 1/3 at a time. The main thing you're going for here is to make sure you get all the lumps out, because you want to make a smooth batter. Again, you can do this by hand. It's just a lot easier with a mixer. Just going to grab the spatula and scrape down the sides. Any flour that gets put up there gets mixed in. This is going to be a fairly thick batter. That is, don't let that be a surprise to you. It's not going to be runny. That's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. Believe it or not, as simple as that, the batter is done. Very few ingredients. See in there? It's fairly thick consistency. I'm using a springform pan just because it's easier to get a cake out of. And I've lined it with parchment paper. As you can see, again, even though it's a non-stick pan, you line it with parchment paper, you don't have any trouble with the cake sticking. Now with a 9-inch pan, this amount of batter is going to be a little lower. So normally you would cook this for 30 minutes. Keep an eye on it if you're using a larger pan, because if the batter is not as tall, it's going to cook a little faster. So we're literally just pouring that all into the bowl, into the pan from the bowl. Don't pour it back into the bowl. That would sort of defeat the purpose. Smooth it down. Make sure we get all that batter in there. Don't want to waste any. So we'll catch you when it's ready to come out. Okay, so it has been about 30 minutes. Pull this out and insert the fork in the middle, right down to the bottom. Comes out clean. I touch the top and it springs back. That means it is done. Ta-da! Turn off the oven. You want to get that to a wire rack to cool for at least half an hour. If you're going to put frosting of some sort on it, which we're going to do, I'll show you that in a couple of minutes. Want it to cool for a couple hours, so it's going to be cool enough so it doesn't melt the frosting when you put it on. And we're going to do a buttercream. So let's get this onto the wire rack. That's why I like springform. I'm going to show you. See, like I said, it comes out a little flatter when it's in a 9-inch, but look at those beautiful edges. Okay, so I've got it out of there onto the wire rack, and we're going to leave it cool for a couple hours at least. Okay, the cake has been cooling on its wire rack, so I'm just going to slide it onto its final home here. Use a frosting type spatula. If you just have a butter knife or whatever, go for it. You don't need to have anything fancy. But you know, if you have the tools that were meant for the job, by all means use them. See, that's how you know you've done it properly, that when you pull the beater out, it just comes out. It doesn't cling to it. Perfectly done buttercream frosting. So nothing really exciting here, just basically putting the frosting on, trying to get a fairly even layer and at least get all the sides covered. So note these two recipes basically fairly well complemented each other. There was enough batter to make one cake layer. There's enough frosting to frost one cake layer. Ooh, a little thin. We're seeing cake through it. Can't have that. White cake, vanilla icing. Can't get any plainer than that. Feel free to add flavorings, whatever you want, to the icing, to the cake. While you're cooking it, make it a spice cake, make it a chocolate cake, add some cocoa powder. Make a chocolate icing, add some cocoa powder to that. You know, do whatever you want, but simple, very basic ingredients and easy to do. So we'll catch you next time.